guys, we're back with another video.
How's it going?
This time we're talking about food and our food journey.
And no wine. It's not Sunday, so getting our water in, which we'll discuss a little bit more, but we've gotten some great feedback and comments from people. And after our first video, we just thought, any way we can provide things to help people.
Yeah.
Because, after going through the experiences, it's great to share those trial and errors, to pass them along to help the process. So any way that we can keep providing information to help people, it's just so exciting.
Yeah, it's been like a trip down memory lane as we've talked through
Absolutely
what we've done and how the evolution of how we've eaten has grown. And we know that we're on a journey and we know it's not over. It's not like this is how we're going to eat for the rest of our lives. We know that it's going to evolve and change, and that's kind of exciting.
Absolutely. Well, we're not dietitians. We're not recommending certain meal plans. We've done a lot of research on food. I should correct that. Heather has done a ton of research on food. And yes, I too have done research on food. But there's so many diets out there, right? It's almost overwhelming, right? You got keto, people that are doing paleo diets, people that are doing the intermittent fasting. You've got, what are some of the other ones?
Atkins, South Beach, Beachbody. There's other MLM companies that are doing things. And paleo, you said? Yeah,
paleo.
so.
There's so many things out there. And I think one of the big things that we're going to recommend is that really research a lot of what you're wanting to try to see if it's really going to be right for you. And you can make even small changes that don't require you to be going into a paleo diet or fully vegan or something that's really going to be a huge change. You can make a small difference in the food you're buying and the way you're eating and see a huge difference in your results. So one of the things that we did, Heather had read Chris and Heidi Powell's book on carb cycling.
Mm-hmm.
This was about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, would
Yeah.
you say? So after reading about the carb cycling, we thought, maybe this is something that can help. So really, I never looked at it as a diet.
No.
You had more than enough food to eat. It wasn't really a ton of restriction of calories, but basically what it was designed was you have some days where you're eating high carb and other days that are low carb. And it can be set up differently. It can be 2 high carb days and a low carb, and then 2 high carb and a low carb, and then you have a reset day. And depending on what your goals are, you can vary that high carb, low carb on what you're trying to do. So for kind of like a test, when we did it, I didn't change anything in my physical activity. I just carb cycled, just changed the way I was eating for food. And in the first month, lost 15 pounds with not changing any physical activity. The only thing I was doing was hitting golf balls and playing some golf. And that's really not much exercise. Let's admit it. So I was literally not working out and lost 15 pounds just from the carb cycling, and had tons of food to eat. So how did you feel with the carb cycling when you did it the first time?
I felt great with it the first time. We've done it now twice. Ryan most recently did it for another year, almost
a year
almost
with
a year.
The different workouts as a challenge. And that's where I've lost over the 30 pounds and put on a lot of muscle, adding the working out. So.
Yeah, and I felt good with it. I did 2 low carb days and a high carb day, and I found that my energy kind of lagged on the low carb days. But interestingly, that was the first time we did it. The second time we did it, my body was running a lot cleaner, and I actually had most energy on my low carb days.
Basically it's just teaching your body on the high carb days, you're using the carbs as energy. If you have a lot of hard workouts, it's great to have those high carb days on those hard workout days. But on the days that you're low carb, it's then teaching the body to use the fat as energy to burn that. And so it's kind of keeping your body guessing.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
It's
there's
cool.
the science behind it.
It's cool science if you read it, and you learn more about it. We are definitely not experts, and we're not about to
Absolutely
pass ourselves off as experts on it, but it's just our experience with it.
I was going to say, I think this is going to be one of the themes from today's, is like finding what works for you.
Yeah.
Really, what can you sustain long term? Some of these things where it's like you're going to eat meat, all meat, high fat. Is that truly sustainable? Would you be okay to do it? I know I just heard Jordan Peterson on a podcast talking about how he's eliminated everything and all he eats is steak.
And if you have very big moral issues with that or ethical issues with that, then maybe that's not the diet for you.
Exactly. And I will tell you, when Heather was low in iron, she needed more meat in her diet. Then I got more meat in my diet. This was years ago. And then, not that my cholesterol numbers were outside the norm, but they were really on the upper edge. And my doctor wasn't too happy with that. And so, again, for each person, it's very specific. And there's no like one size fits all, kind of, we've learned that. So we had to tweak what works right for me and the amount of meat that I take in. If you watch our last video, now my cholesterol is the level of a 13-year-old girl, according to my doctor. So I'm getting the right amount of meats that I need, but it has been a little bit of this trial and error, and I think that's what we're recommending, that you kind of have to see what works. What are some of the things that we've found that really inflamed us? Because going gluten-free and dairy-free really helped us to reduce that inflammatory response, right? When your body gets inflamed, a lot of problems, right? It can be really hard on your body for restricting movements, or if you're an athlete, that can lead to injuries. And just the inflammation in your body is not a good thing. So what things were you eating that you started to immediately find out, oh my gosh, this is getting me so bloated, or I'm so tired?
I mean, we found that we were eating a lot of peanut butter and PB2. Oh my gosh, the amount that we were eating. What first sounded the alarm was the budget, our grocery budget. We were going through, I'm so embarrassed to say, we were going through a jar of PB2 every week, and like a normal, this kind of jar, and a jar of peanut butter every week.
And it was in our overnight oats, which I love them for breakfast, but it was in that, it was in our shakes.
It was in everything. It was with peanut butter. It was with peanut butter on the side of peanut butter. Pretty much, it was on the side of apples. I mean, and this was within like caloric recommendations. It's not that we were overeating it.
No, that was a part of the carb cycling, and was literally the macros, and we were weighing that out and eating what we were supposed to, but both so bloated.
We were so bloated, and when we eliminated it, when we realized we both lost 3 pounds that 1 week.
That 1 week.
Just in eliminating the peanut butter, and it was painful to eliminate because it's such a treat, right?
But starting to find out where's the balance, right? I mean, if you're working hard in the gym and then you're not seeing the results, are you getting frustrated? You just want to give up, and you just feel like you're doing something wrong, or you don't have enough motivation, or whatever it may be.
Well, there's something wrong with you, or
exactly. And just by eliminating that peanut butter to where it was a little bit less in our meals each week, then all of a sudden that work in the gym that you're doing starts to show up.
And we didn't just eliminate the peanut butter and eliminate calories. We replaced it with like almonds or pistachios or something else, some other type of, it was a nut, but it wasn't a legume. And peanuts are technically a legume. And so anyway, that's getting into a whole other thing. But we're super sensitive to that kind of thing because our son has a tree nut allergy. We'll do a video on that too. But so eliminating that, obviously eliminating the dairy was big.
Yeah, you tested the dairy a little bit off and on, and just kept finding that really was an issue.
The last time I tested the dairy, I had a night of weakness and ate like 10 or 11 Hershey's Kisses with peanut butter.
Bad combination.
It was a really bad combination, and I actually ended up with a migraine with vertigo.
And looked about like 5 months pregnant.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
Next time it happens, it hasn't happened in probably a month or 6 weeks, but next time it happens, I will take a picture so you guys can see. It's ridiculous.
And I can tell you, even though I had no issues with gluten, no issues with dairy, even just last holiday at the office, want to have a Christmas party at the office and everybody brings food. And of course, you don't want to be that person that's like, no, I can't eat any of this because, I'm gluten-free and dairy-free. So I tried to pick strategically food that I thought would be okay. And there must have been at least one thing that I did have that had some gluten in it. And I cannot tell you, literally just leaving work and on the ride home, my stomach was already inflamed. It hurt. I felt so sick. My head was pounding. And I realized that, you know what? The foods we're choosing to eat, very whole, natural, organic foods. The meats, the chickens, the ground turkey, salmon, fishes, lots of vegetables. Can you think of anything else that I'm missing? Fruits, we're having fruits.
Yeah.
Still getting in some granola. It's a sprouted quinoa granola, which is amazing. We're learning in the blue zones that if things are sprouted, slow cooked, fermented, those blue zones have a lot of foods that use those processes, which helps with longevity. So that's a great thing. We're finding the mix of the balance that's best for us. And I really enjoy what we eat now.
Mm-hmm.
And just making those little changes week after week, you can start seeing huge benefits, again, with maybe not doing a ton of working out or having to go full paleo or full keto diet. It doesn't have to be that right away.
And it's really what works for you. Like, I've found that apples tend to bloat me.
Yeah.
Ryan has an apple every day.
I've added those back in.
We eat different. I think our 5 meals of the day, we eat 5 times a day. And I think every single one of them is different from each other. So it's truly what works for you. He has found what works.
Yes.
I've found what works for me. And that's okay. We don't have to force each other to eat what the other one eats.
Yeah, and as we learned through the carb cycling with Chris and Heidi Powell, essentially sometimes if we can teach our metabolism to burn at a higher level, then what will end up happening is it can stay up burning on that higher level and you can burn more fat. Sometimes we try to restrict our calories and then you're basically teaching your body to only burn at this low level, and eventually you kind of get in this stuck place, right? And it's hard to kind of eat and restrict yourself on that low calorie kind of diet. So finding the right calories and getting that metabolism to learn that it can burn is one thing we've done, and that's why we're eating 5 meals a day. We're literally every 3 hours, we're constantly giving our body food and nutrition that it can use to burn. So it doesn't think, well, I have to store this because you're not going to feed me. Now, I've been watching and doing a lot more research on the intermittent fasting and how that can be beneficial. Totally recommend that you kind of listen to some podcasts and do some research on that, because there can be some huge benefits with that, but that has to be done correctly. And obviously talk with your physicians about any of these kind of meal plans that you might want to make as a massive change. But I really feel like you can make very small changes and see a huge difference right away. So Heather's been posting some cool pictures of her food. It's not like an amazing restaurant food that normally you go on Instagram to see.
I call myself out. On Instagram, I posted like #not food porn.
It's not really as amazing to look at as you would from a restaurant, but you get to see a little bit more of what we eat. So a couple of things on how we make this work. We meal prep on Sunday nights. Mm-hmm. And we literally are buying the food Sunday afternoon. We do our treat review. If you haven't watched those, definitely subscribe, watch some of those. But we meal prep from the afternoon on, around say 4 or 5 o'clock. Yeah. And we work together as a team to meal prep out what we need. So I'm pretty good at chopping things up, maybe not as good at cooking them. So I try to do that portion to help Heather out, and we kind of work together to get our meals prepped throughout the week. Some Sundays we can get the whole week prepped. Other Sundays maybe we don't get to everything, and then you find maybe a day during the middle of the week to get the others done. Is that kind of how you feel like you've been able to do it?
I do my whole week. You do all your breakfasts. But we found that Ryan's lunches were not tasting as fresh if I had prepped all of them on Sunday night. So at his request, and I was happy to oblige because I don't want it to taste gross, I do his Thursday and Friday.
But I tell you, it's like waking up in the morning and brushing your teeth. Like, you just don't even think about it after you've done it so many times. So yes, the first few weeks, maybe it's a little difficult, but by that second and third week, it's getting easier. I would say by the first month, it's habit now. Mm-hmm. I don't think twice about it. It's not a chore. I'm not like grumbling over the fact that we meal prep on Sunday night. It's great. And you may have seen some of Heather's pictures where, look at our fridge. Like all the meals are packed, they're done, they're ready to go. You just grab them and you eat them. And I love the fact that that's the meal I eat. There's no like getting more or less. I know what I'm eating and I eat it, and it just takes that guesswork out of my week. I love that.
And I think, I don't know what the statistic is, and we'll do another video on this because I find it fascinating, but you get decision fatigue. You can only make so many decisions in a day.
Yes.
And so knowing what our food is, like how many decisions does that take away in your day?
Absolutely.
That you're not sitting there like, should I not? Should I? This is why I like to work out first thing in the morning. That's a whole other video too, but it's because the decision is made for you. It's done.
Absolutely.
If I sit there at work and I'm like, should I go to the gym? Should I not? Should I not? Then I'm not going because I'm exhausted from thinking about it all day long. I might as well have gone for the number of times I've run in my head. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. A quick thing about the water.
Yep.
Okay, so other thing with the water, something else we've learned is that if you take your body weight, you cut it in half, you should be having that much in ounces of water a day. If you're doing a lot of hard working out, a lot of hard cardio, you may want a little bit more water, but water is key. Really important to help for the weight loss process and for performance. So I pretty much drink just water. That's all I drink. And the wine, not on the weekend. Heather, you kind of mix in a little bit of teas and,
Yep.
and water and the wine.
I have tea, water, and wine, and I actually drink more water than Ryan does. I feel better when I have about 100 ounces. And it's just, it's been trial and error. I feel best at about 100 ounces of water. And it's truly, everything is trial and error. A lot of people call it biohacking. It's just figuring out what works for you. And that's our main thing, is just use your body as your lab. It is trial and error for you. Like, we are not telling you
Yes.
what to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be very specific to you because it's not the same for me as it is for you.
No,
so.
not at all.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things we will recommend to you that we haven't done yet, and a lot of things we're trying to give you is stuff we've already done from the experience.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't done this yet, but we are looking into doing it. And this can be a great way also to help you with your nutrition journey. There are companies out there like 23andMe and Inside Tracker is a new company out there based off of research that's been done at Harvard Medical and I think also Tufts Medical. They've created, these companies have created ways for you to be able to get a much more thorough blood work done and be able to do DNA testing. So you can also get very specific feedback from those companies on where your nutrition is lacking, and they'll even give you the recommendations on what you should actually add. And if you don't like those recommendations, they'll give you something else so you can get your numbers in a better zone. The other thing that's kind of cool is if you learn a little bit more about your ancestry, you can start to maybe eat more toward what is better for you from all the years from, your family before you. And so it's kind of intriguing to go down that road. We haven't done it yet. Definitely watch. When we do that, we'll definitely post a video. And getting your blood work done maybe more than just once a year from going with your annual, probably not a bad idea. So we're going to look into a couple of those companies. There are a few out there. You can look them up, but could be very beneficial to getting you very specific to what's right for you. So highly recommend that, even though we haven't tried it, but we're going to try it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, the last thing we're going to leave you with is the cost, because we've got some feedback from people online. We love your feedback. Throw it out there. Send us questions. Again, we're not experts in everything, but if we've tried it, we'd love to do another video and get you that information. The cost. Tell them about the cost. It seems like that's always the great inhibiting factor, right? It's like, it's going to be so expensive, gluten-free, dairy-free, all this organic, natural, whole foods. It's so expensive. What do you think?
It's not that expensive. I mean, when you think, I do add up like how much our meals, like a meal costs, and it's really not that much. I mean, if you saw my pictures from earlier, I posted like literally what I eat, and it's so simple. It's not, there's not a lot of ingredients. And this last weekend we went grocery shopping between Whole Foods and Target. We spent $300 for our family of 4. Now the kids still had some things from Hurricane Prep because they do eat processed foods. They're kids. When you make them lunch, you got to give them something that you're going to eat. It's every parent's struggle.
We're working though to get even what's processed to eliminate the gluten eliminate as much dairy and soy as we can. So we're
And
working that slowly into their diets. Tough.
it's very difficult, and that's a whole other struggle that we have, and I'm sure the rest of you are like, yes. But we also had to we bought our sushi that we have on Sunday nights for our dinner. We bought
Our treats
our
for the
treats
treat
for
review.
treat review. We had to get like hand soap. We bought other things besides food, and we spent $300 between Whole Foods and Target for our family of 4. It's not that expensive.
And because there's been such a shift with companies realizing that this is a need and a desire from the public, between Target, Walmart, there's lots of options in those grocery stores where you can find that maybe cheaper than your local grocery store. But even the local grocery stores here have those options available. And now with Whole Foods kind of tying in with some Amazon and Amazon Prime, you get some discounts through there.
Oh my gosh.
So really the discounts start adding up, and if you're shopping smart in that way, it really isn't that much more expensive. And I think we agree, if we're spending maybe $20 or $30 or $40 more each week in food, but it's changing how we feel, and that leads to a healthier life, then we're not spending that money on the back end for being sick all the time or any of the other medical issues that come up from having that processed, horrible food.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, hopefully this gave you a little bit of insight into our food. We're excited to keep sharing. We love the feedback.
Yeah,
Anything
for sure.
else you want to share?
No, I absolutely love the feedback. I love the comments. I love the questions. I think there were a couple questions I didn't get to today, so I'm going to get on right now and answer those. Please feel free to message if you don't want to comment below, but please know we're reading your questions and we love to hear them.
All right. Well, so keep subscribe. We'll keep posting more videos, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Have a good night.